Hello, my friends. Thank you, dear friend, for being here today. Have you ever wondered what's really happening in your brain during that moment of silence? And what if I told you the fix is simpler than you think? Let me ask you something. Do you freeze when someone asks you a question in English? Perhaps you've studied for years. Perhaps you know all the grammar rules. Maybe you can even write a great essay. But then when a real person asks you something simple like, "So what do you do?" Your mind suddenly draws a blank. You freeze. You feel nervous. Your heart starts beating faster. You want to speak, but the words just stay inside. And instead of answering, you remain silent, or you only manage to say one or two words. If this sounds like you are not alone. Many learners freeze up in actual conversations. It's one of the most significant challenges for English students all over the world. But here's the great news. There are solutions for this issue. And in this episode, I want to give you those practical solutions. I want to show you why you freeze, what is truly going on in your brain, and then I will share practical steps to help you set your voice free. By the end, you will feel more confident and you will know how to handle those moments without fear. So let's get started. All right. One of the top reasons we freeze is that we simply don't know how to start. The first few seconds of a conversation can feel overwhelming. We overthink things. We stress about grammar, and ultimately, nothing comes out. The solution is to prepare what I refer to as automatic openers. So what are automatic openers? They are brief, welcoming phrases that you can use over and over again in almost any situation. They are like the keys that unlock the door to conversation, any door. Okay? For example, picture yourself meeting someone new. Instead of just standing there in silence, you can use an automatic opener like, "Hi, it's nice to meet you. How is your day going so far?" Or, "So have you been here before?" "Have you been here before?" Or, "I really love your jacket." "Where did you get it?" "I really love your jacket." "Where did you get it?" These openers aren't difficult. They aren't complicated at all. They are straightforward, natural, and adaptable. You can use them in nearly any scenario. And since you have practiced them beforehand, they come out automatically without you having to think. Think of them as simple tunes your mouth instinctively knows how to sing. When the music begins, you don't need to look at the notes. You just sing. So this is what you can do. Write down 5 openers that feel natural for you. Practice saying them aloud each day. Say them to yourself in the mirror. Say them while you're in the shower. Soon they will become second nature, and the next time you're face to face with someone, you will not freeze. You will start the conversation with confidence. Automatic openers are so powerful because they remove the most difficult part, the beginning. Okay, another potent technique is visualization. This involves imagining the situation before it actually occurs. It might seem simple, but it's surprisingly effective. Okay? It's surprisingly effective. Why? Because your brain can't always tell the difference between what is imagined and what is real. When you imagine yourself speaking, your brain is already getting practice. You're rehearsing, but without any of the stress. Let me share an example. Imagine that tomorrow you're going to a cafe and you want to order in English. Before you leave, sit down quietly for just 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Picture the cafe in your mind. Imagine the menu, the waiter, the aroma of coffee, and then visualize yourself speaking. "Hi, could I get a coffee, please?" By doing this, you are priming your brain. When you get to the actual cafe, It won't feel like a brand new experience. It will feel like something you've already done. You can apply visualization to many situations: a job interview, a phone call, or just a casual chat. Now take a moment before the actual event, close your eyes, and run through the conversation in your head. Rehearse means practice. This technique is particularly helpful for learners who tend to feel anxious, okay? Because instead of walking in unprepared, you are going in ready with practice. You are giving your brain a sneak peek. So the reality is, visualization doesn't require hours. It only takes a few minutes, but it can make a complete difference in your confidence. Now let's discuss another method. I call this method time boxing. This means practicing your speaking in very short, defined blocks of time. Many learners believe they have to practice for 1 hour every single day. They place a huge amount of pressure on themselves, and when they can't manage 1 hour, they end up doing nothing. But the key to fluency isn't long stretches of study. It is short, consistent moments of practice. So here is how time boxing works. Pick a very short period of time. For instance, 2 minutes. Yes, just 2 minutes. Set a timer. And for those 2 minutes, speak out loud in English. Talk about anything at all. What you had for breakfast, your plans for later, or what the weather feels like. The subject isn't important. What is important is that you speak continuously for 2 minutes. When the timer goes off, you stop. That is all. You are done for the day. Now, 2 minutes might not sound like much, but consider this. 2 minutes every day adds up to 14 minutes a week. That is nearly 1 hour a month. And more importantly, it's sustainable. When you succeed with 2 minutes, you might naturally move up to 5. Later on, maybe 10. But the key is to begin small, okay? Start small because small, consistent practice builds great fluency. So use those 2 minutes to speak. Little by little, your confidence will build and freezing will become a rare occurrence. Finally, let's talk about chunk training. This is one of the most effective methods to stop freezing. Most learners study English by learning single words. They memorize long lists of vocabulary: apple, table, quickly, beautiful idea. But when they attempt to speak, the words fail to connect. It feels slow and challenging. Chunks are different. A chunk is a phrase of words that are commonly found together, like a small family, right? For example, do you mind if I, or at the end of the day, or that reminds me of, or I'm not sure but I think. You see, when you learn chunks, you don't have to construct a sentence word by word. You just grab the entire chunk and place it into the conversation. It's like having pre-built Lego blocks. Instead of building new blocks each time, you have strong pieces already in your hand. This is how native speakers achieve fluency. They don't think about every single word. They use chunks, and so can you. So here is the way to practice. Pick one chunk, repeat it out loud 10 times, then use it in 3 different sentences. For example, do you mind if I open the window? Do you mind if I borrow your pen? Do you mind if I call you later? After you do this, that chunk belongs to you. It is ready to come out of your mouth whenever you need it. If you gather 50 or 100 common chunks, you will never be at a loss for words. You will always have something natural you can say, and the fear of freezing will vanish. So my friends, these methods are straightforward, but if you practice them, they will totally transform your fluency. You will not stay frozen, you will move, you will speak, and you will connect. And the fear of freezing will vanish. So my friends, these methods are straightforward, but if you practice them, they will totally transform your fluency. You will not stay frozen. You will move, you will speak, and you will connect. But let's go a level deeper. Now that you have these four foundational tools, automatic openers, visualization, time boxing, and chunk training, let's build upon them. Let's talk about the inner game of fluency, because overcoming the freeze isn't just about what you say, it's about what you think. The single biggest obstacle that causes learners to freeze is the fear of judgment. We are terrified of making a mistake, of sounding unintelligent, or of someone laughing at our accent. This creates a state of high alert in our brain, activating the fight, flight, or freeze response. For language learners, it's almost always freeze. The solution is to consciously shift your mindset in three critical ways. First, you must defeat perfectionism. Let me be clear. You are going to make mistakes. Every single person who has ever learned a new language has made thousands of them. Native speakers make mistakes in their own language all the time. The goal of a conversation is not grammatical perfection, it is connection and communication. Did the other person understand your idea? If the answer is yes, you have succeeded. I want you to repeat this mantra: connection, not perfection. When you feel that fear of making a mistake bubble up, take a breath and remind yourself of your true goal. This simple shift in perspective can release an enormous amount of pressure. Second, shift your focus from internal to external. When we freeze, our attention is turned completely inward. We are thinking, oh no, what word should I use? Is this the right tense? They're waiting for me to speak. I sound so stupid. It's a spiral of self-criticism. The antidote is to become intensely curious about the person you are talking to. Instead of worrying about your performance, focus on understanding them. Listen to their words. Look at their face. Ask follow-up questions. When you are genuinely focused on the other person, you have less mental energy to spend on worrying about yourself. Your speaking will become more natural because it's in service of the conversation, not your own self-evaluation. Third, redefine what a successful conversation looks like. Many learners believe a successful conversation is one where they speak flawlessly, have a huge vocabulary, and understand everything. This is an impossible standard. A truly successful conversation is one where you learn something new, shared an idea, or simply made a human connection, however brief. Maybe you only understood 60% of what was said, but you were able to ask a question that showed you were listening. That is a huge win. Celebrate these small victories. By lowering the bar for success to something achievable, you build a foundation of positive experiences that will grow your confidence over time. Native speakers don't have a magical ability to speak in perfectly formed, continuous sentences. They pause, they hesitate, and they use filler phrases. The difference is they do it with confidence. You can and should do the same. Freezing often happens because we feel an intense pressure to answer instantly. You need to give yourself permission to think. This is where strategic pauses and high-quality filler chunks come in. Instead of a silent, panicked freeze, you can use a phrase that buys your brain precious seconds to catch up. These are different from the chunks we discussed earlier. These are specifically for managing the rhythm of a conversation. Here are some examples to practice until they become automatic. To buy a moment to think. That's a great question. Let me think about that for a second. When you need to gather your thoughts. That's an interesting point. I haven't really thought about it like that before. To signal you are about to answer, well, the way I see it is, or, okay, so from my perspective, to express a less than certain opinion, I'm not an expert, but I tend to think that using these phrases does two things. First, it fills the silence, preventing that awkward, panicked feeling. Second, it signals to the other person that you are engaged and thoughtfully considering your answer, which actually makes you sound more fluent and intelligent, not less. Our final advanced technique is one of the most powerful exercises for bridging the gap between understanding and speaking. Shadowing. Shadowing is the practice of listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say in real time, just a split second behind them. Think of it like this. When you freeze, it's often because the physical act of forming English sounds and sentence structures isn't automatic yet. Your brain knows the words, but your mouth can't keep up. Shadowing is like taking your mouth to the gym. It builds the muscle memory needed to produce English sounds and rhythms without conscious thought. Here's how to do it. 1. Choose your material. Find a short audio or video clip, 30 to 60 seconds is perfect to start, with a clear speaker. A TED Talk, a podcast, or an interview works well. Get the transcript if you can. 2. Listen. First, listen to the clip once or twice to get a feel for the content, speed, and intonation. 3. Shadowing. Play the clip again, and this time, speak along with the speaker. Don't worry about getting every word perfect. Your goal is to match the rhythm, pitch, and emotion of the speaker. You are literally their shadow. It will feel strange and difficult at first, but stick with it. 4. Repeat. Do this several times with the same clip. With each repetition, you'll find yourself getting smoother and more synchronized. Doing this for just 5 minutes a day will have a profound impact. It trains your brain to process and produce English at a much faster rate, making it far less likely that you'll get stuck when it's your turn to speak in a real conversation. So, my friends, the journey from freezing to fluency is not about learning thousands of new words. It's about implementing the right strategies. It's about mastering your mindset, giving yourself tools to manage the conversation, and training the physical components of speech. By combining these advanced methods with the 4 core techniques we started with, you are building a complete system, a system that will not only stop you from freezing, but will empower you to open up, to share your ideas, and to truly connect with people in English. You have the ability. Now you have the tools. Go out there and start speaking. I'm Tom, and this is English Unleashed. Until we meet again, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.